So Shida,
Yeah.
it's been a hot minute since you and I have been like chatting with no drinks in hand, but we want to talk about networking on like a higher level right now. And I'm super excited because JabberYak is going to be in the Tech to Grow Collective in the pavilion at IMEX Vegas in October. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Can't wait.
I know it's going to be fantastic. And I know you guys are going to be super busy, super swamped. You've got some really cool stuff going on. But we were just talking about networking, where networking, it is now almost like, I would say, the number one reason people go to an event for.
Yeah.
I measure the success of an event that I'm attending on how much hug time I get and how much one-on-one time or like amazing conversations that happen that are not part of the program. And I think the missed opportunity here, and we all know our loved ones, our event professionals, they're super busy. But if you think of it, networking needs to be its own strategy. And I know that Freeman, within the reports that they've launched recently, it is exactly that. So talk to me about, if we talk about network strategy, how is that different, or how does that get, as embedded within the event design strategy?
It's a great question. I think, you and I talked earlier about these reports. They're great reports full of data. Like if you look 5, 6, 7 years ago, people wouldn't have even downloaded the report. Now we're downloading it, we're reading it, we're talking about it. It is front of mind. And if you think about it, you are right. Like attendees are going to events to make connections and to network and not necessarily to close deals like an ROI like that. Your ROI is how much they feel like they've connected with people, created their community, and how that continues to grow even after the event. You go to these events and they spend so much money on the footprint of a lounge, a networking lounge. We were just at one recently. Huge networking lounge footprint, fancy, great furniture, charging station, but that's like networking of like the 90s. That's what networking was, your computer
Charging
networking, your IT.
station for your,
Yeah,
now we have charging stations, something like that, but added on.
right.
Yeah.
But is that what it is? Like I walked in there and there were two people sitting there. Both people were on their laptops working on something that they needed to. So it was a workstation. It wasn't a networking station. And I think at these events, they have so many people on their teams that put together these events and it's fabulous events, right? Well thought out, spend so much money. So what we're missing the mark is they do need to have an engagement specialist, a chief engagement officer, a chief networking officer, an expert. And if they don't have the ability to bring someone in, well, that's where we come in. You lean on your partners. We don't look at our partners and the jobs that we do as clients. And maybe some people would disagree with us, but we have such a passion for it. They're our partners. We partner with people to help increase engagement, to help
Yep.
increase the human connections. And
Perfect.
that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So when we talk about networking, as a strategy, and we always keep different stakeholders in mind, give me like three ideas that we can do for first time attendees.
So for first time attendees, there's always a happy hour. They get them together at a happy hour or at a breakfast and you're sitting at a table of 10. Great. Then what? Like, what if you're not that extroverted and you don't know how to engage with someone? Like, how about we give them an activity? How about we give them a CSR activity? How about we group them based on some sort of interest or something that's similar between them or spark conversations? Or maybe we give them a list of some questions that they can ask each other as they're working together to do a CSR activity. Maybe it's some sort of campfire conversations. And maybe you had some interactive chairs around a fire pit outdoors in a nice resort that you're at and give them questions and topics they can talk about, or maybe give them the activity of trying to find out why they've been grouped together. What
And what
interest has brought them together?
Yeah, and speaking of interest, so for those event organizers that are already doing that. The campfires, they're doing, they're carving out the space within their program, but really thinking of it as a strategy. I mean, I would love to see more people having a part one, part two networking
Yep.
not necessarily, "Oh, everything's done on the first day."
Right.
No, do something mini, like baby, and I do talk about microdosing, and people think I'm talking
Yep.
about something totally
No.
different, but it's not about that. It's about the exchange. So do something, part 1, maybe the next day, part 2. People have that anticipation and want that, like, "Okay, what's gonna happen in part 2?" It's like, I'm binging right now, Perfect Couple on Netflix. 21 minutes long and it's perfect, but it's like that anticipation, you want
Right.
to have that be part of the strategy. So what do you tell the event organizers? Oh, we're already doing that. What are things that they should be looking to like raise the bar or metrics that they should be looking at to see if it's actually working for them or against them?
We always talk about like internally meeting us, like creating meetups. Like, what if an organizer created meetups for the creative group? And there's like day one, there's a meetup. And if you're part of this group, you go here. And then day two, you meet up again. And you're building, the sense of community in your tribe. Um, and I think that we as people, that's what we're looking for. We're looking to find that. And I know everyone says, oh, we're doing it and we're doing it well, but are we are we asking the right questions? Like we're serving people afterwards in emails. Well, when you come home from events, you're behind on your emails. If you're anything like me, right? You get 50 to 200 emails a day and you've gone for 4 days. Oh my. I mean, that email gets lost in a shuffle. And the survey, can you take a few minutes? It's not a few minutes. It's so many questions. And what if we captured the response right then and there? What if, like, you're at the airport, TSA, you go through and it's like, how did we do? It's green, yellow, and red, the smiley faces. Like, what if it was a station and on your way out, so you're walking out the door, you tapped it and you
Yep.
gave your quick instant feedback, right? Let's capture that data and let's really see you know, how we're doing with it. And I sure know necessarily that it's even that type of data that we need. It's common sense of sitting back and scanning the room. Scan your room. You'll see if people are talking and enjoying. You'll walk around, open your ears, listen to the conversations that are happening. What are people talking about? What are their experiences?
And I
Right?
think yeah, it was especially with like a dashboard or a data set that they can look at real time, like what JabberYak has. That's where the beauty of creativity and agility, you'll be able to like design in a heartbeat. You don't have
Right.
to wait until the next year. Or you
No.
don't have to wait until the next event. Like you said, it's gonna be a continuous, and you're creating that whole community and that content exchange or conversation exchange and those relationships, whether it's peer to peer, whether it's like, exhibitors or sponsors to attendees, all of that. I think it's critical because this is really what our attendees want is like off the cuff real time, relevant, something comes up and they're like, I'm going to be able to be right there in the conference,
Right.
discussing it, networking about it, etc. So before we like finish this, what is the coolest networking activity that you've seen?
Oh, the coolest networking activity I've seen. That's a hard one. Um, it really is. But I think one fun thing that I've really loved is one client did do the meetups. They used the data analytics dashboard that we had and they created areas, different areas based on the interests that people had. And then they knew to go to those areas and that just was natural and it was fun. Like we were at an event recently where they had skateboarding and BMX biking. And I can tell you, it was cool to see, but I mean, it didn't really resonate with a lot of people, right? I mean, a bunch of 56-year-olds, watching BMX bikers and skateboarders who were, younger than their children. I mean, it just didn't make sense and it didn't spark conversation. But I love when people do the groups and like even when they go and they do a painting together, and they're talking and they're interacting with each other and it's just the conversation. It's not, oh, where do you work or what do you do and what kind of events do you do and how big? Not what you hear. You're hearing people talk. They're craving. They need a neuro stimulation break
Yes.
from all the education they're taking in and the work stuff. We get exhausted.
Yeah.
And, that to me is the greatest. And when you see the smiles and the genuine conversations, it's, it's just amazing to me. Like I get so excited about it.
Yeah, well, I can tell by your smile, and it is
That's not,
emotionally evoked, like those conversations and those exchanges. I would add on to it what you were talking about as this example of meetups is if you're using some of the 5 senses, putting food to it or smell or like taste or like drinks or something of that sort, it actually is even better. So everybody that's listening in, she does has a ton of other ideas for you, as well as to like even evaluate your existing networking strategy. And you can find Cheetah at the Tech to Grow Collective Pavilion at IMEX Vegas at C 4859. It will be the wildest pavilion, I would say. Exactly. There will be some of that as well. So, but Cheetah, thank you so much. And we will see you
thank you.
at IMEX.
Can't wait. Thank you.